part one. What did I take to anyway? Welcome. This is nothing but the truth, and I'm doing this video. I don't know if it's going to be a short video, under 10 minutes or longer, but please bear with me. The video is being done due to I need a rant, and that's the honest side of things. The rant is about the NHS in England, UK, if anyone's watching this outside England. And it's not aimed at the nurses on the wards. This one is aimed at the consultants, doctors, junior doctors, however you want to explain it, or should I say identify them as. And if you've not seen any of my videos before, I'm 21 years paralysed spinal cord on T10, so it means I have no sensation from roughly halfway up my stomach down to the end of my toes, and I have no use of anything there either, internally or externally. So that's out of the way. Since 2009, I cut my coccyx bone. Had an operation called a flap. The flap itself was a rotational flap, where they would take a certain part of it was on my coccyx, at the back, lower part of my spine. So they take one side of your butt cheek, cut, fold it over, restitch, fresh new padded skin, is what I got told. And this is before I found Christ, this is before I found my faith, this is before really I started questioning the world. I was still I was a sheep following some people that basically weren't good for me, but I didn't realise until later on. So, but I don't wish harm on them. It was my decision, my choice to go along with that lifestyle, which wasn't criminal or anything like that. It was just a materialistic lifestyle, if you want to say that, anything about it. Anyway, I got told that this rotational flap will give me a new lease of life, etc., and I'll be able to basically live better than what I had been for about a year or so. Well, that operation didn't go as well as planned, and I ended up with negligence against Broomfield Hospital in Essex and the Essex NHS Trust outside clinic district nurses, excuse me, and because basically the scar didn't heal from basically the coccyx all the way to the left hip bone. And I had some other things in 2010, come 2010, that really upset me. And in 2011, I'm not going to go into the stories, but in 2011, I ended up going into Stanmore of Royal National Orthopaedic Hospital in North London, as I'm originally from West London, and moved only to Essex for a couple of years before I moved back. And I went in for reconstruction surgery again, as I say, because there was a track on the actual scar line which went down about a centimetre. Excuse what's on my thumb. I've been told it's I don't know what it's been told. I've been told many things what it is, but it hurts. Let's just leave it at that. And if you see that in the video, just ignore it. It's not contagious or anything like that. I ain't got herpes. Let's carry on. I went in for reconstruction surgery in 2011 because the track went down 1.5 centimetres, and nothing was working, and they reopened the rotational flap, and I was in there for 12 weeks, stitched up, healed. Within the last week, I literally had to build up my skin again in my wheelchair, and which, if it stayed stable, the scar, then I could go home. And it did. But 2 days after I got home, I had to go in the car to the shops, local shops, and get some food, groceries, and come back home. But when I come back home, I got my wheelchair out of the car, got in the chair, and anyway, the flap had burst again. It was a little pinhole, and the pinhole had gone down again, another centimetre or two. Over a period from about mid-July to about 2013, I was going back and forth to the Royal National Orthopaedic Hospital, where I had the reconstruction done, to see the to see a tissue viability nurse, TVN, dermatologist, and to see the consultants. We were trying all different types of dressings, etc., pico dressings, pumps, you name it, and nothing was working. It wasn't healing, and they couldn't get me back in because the scar was fresh, and where it was fresh, they couldn't do nothing about it. And so we come to a decision, myself, the TVN, the dermatologist, and the plastic surgeon, and the spinal surgeon in the Royal National Orthopaedic Hospital in Stanmore, Spinal Hospital. And the decision was that basically, because nothing's working and I was managing to control the dressing by dressing it myself and having district nurses come over once a week, that I would basically, I should live some sort of life, which I did. And I was able to keep my closest ever, my little dog, and called Roxy, and she was absolute dream, little Staffordshire Bull Terrier. So I lived a certain sort of life while resting as well in between. Now, as we said, we come to a decision, give it 5 years, and if nothing new is on if anything deteriorates on the flap, the scar opens, etc., any worse, then go back. But if nothing does, then give it 5 years and go back to the hospital and see if there's anything new on the market. So I done what was agreed by all parties, which was even on paperwork, although the hospital itself tried to say that it was my decision, my sole decision, which was a complete lie, and I had to get them to correct their discharge letter, whatever you want to call it, as a joint decision between all parties, and they did. Then come around 2016, there had been in the previous year, up to 2017, before I moved out of London, with a couple of conflicts with a couple of neighbours that were just awful. Absolutely awful. The council that I lived in moved these two neighbours in the block of flats that I lived in, and for one reason or another, one, just he had some upstairs issues, which we all tried to, like, not ask, but like understand, yeah. But he was just so to himself and strange. He didn't want to talk. He didn't want to know. So we left it as like, okay, well, some people you just can't reach out to, unfortunately. And in 2014, again, I become a reborn again Christian, and so, but that's irrelevant to the conversation that I'm having right now. or explaining about the neighbours. And the reason I'm explaining about the neighbours is because the guy that they moved in, he verbally abused me, tried to verbally attack my disability, and it didn't work. I'm a better man than that, and I just laughed it off, shoved it off, and it was like, okay, whatever, Matthew, whatever, you're not making sense, my friend. Please make sense, and we can solve this problem that you have, or we supposedly both have with each other, which I didn't. I just wanted to know, why am I being verbally abused and then physically assaulted outside my own flat just for asking someone to close a gate because of the dog could get out and run on the main road. And the other neighbour who lived above me, she was a Polish girl that moved in. She was only 20, 21, and she just hated noise, any sort of noise. I could be speaking at this level anytime after, I don't know, 7, 8 o'clock in the evening, and she would just slam her feet on the ceiling, and it was just like, whoa, whoa, I've never had this before. I mean, I lived in the block for many years, and I've never had one complaint. And I always said, if you've got a problem, if I play music or if I'm too loud, please knock on the door, ask me politely, and I will 100% turn it down, because I don't want to get on anyone's wick, nerves, however you want to take it. And i.e. vice versa, I would expect the same respect from them as well. But with her, no, it was like, what's good for the goose isn't good for the gander. It's like, so anyway, so in 2016, I decided to sell up, move, find somewhere else to live in England. I found that place. It was Lincoln, in Lincolnshire, and it was beautiful. It was something I've not experienced before, where there was so much friendliness between people you didn't know and between your neighbours. And my dog loved it, and that was the main thing. My dog loved it. So in 2017, I moved, settled in my new home, and the flap, the rotational flap, was still the same, with the truck going down, and I was still nurses over once a week, just to check out, etc. And I was doing the dressings myself and living some sort of life. But then at the end of 2017, come 2018, my right hip unfortunately went down with a pressure sore, because I was lying on that to stay off of the rear coccyx, lower part of my back, and the left hip, where the scar line goes, and doing that led to too much pressure on the right hip anyway, and as I say, it broke down, and so on. So I got in touch with my local GP, my new local GP, and she literally got the district nurses involved and the TVN involved, tissue viability nurse, and they would come over and check on the skin. But it was only me and my dog, but no one else. So, yeah, and which I don't dwell on at all. It's how I live my life, and some people have got people, some people haven't. I don't call them lucky. I just call them, they should be more grateful and hold on tight to them. Because when you live alone and you're by yourself, it can dwell on you quite a lot. And not many people can do it. And I was fortunate to be one that can. With all the issues that I've got going on, not just the paralysed, but with the sores as well, and other internal issues that kept cropping up. And one of the internal issues at the beginning was my stomach and my bowel. And my GP was adamant that I went for a colonoscopy. And where I just moved into the area, I knew a few neighbours. One of my neighbours was kind enough to be able to look after my dog for like 3-4 days. Excuse me, just had a chewable D3 tablet, which is for calcium. I'll get onto that. And anyway, so my neighbour was kind enough to take my dog in, and everything was explained to the GP and to the consultants at the hospital that if you're going to get me in for this colonoscopy, it has to be within 4 days, and I have to be home because my neighbour couldn't look after the pet, my baby for any longer. And in 2018, I went in to Lincoln County Hospital about 4 times, each and every occasion. On the third day, number 3, don't. It seemed I was sitting still in a unit called MEAU, which is where you go before you get put on a ward. And on that third day, they'd come in and they'd be like, okay, we're going to take you onto the gastrological ward, and I'd come out with, will I be home by tomorrow? Because I need to be, because of my dog. And it's not fair on people that I've just met to put them under pressure, because they had babies as well as a dog as well. And I was grateful enough for what they could do. And they were like, no, you're going to have to stay in for at least a couple more days to be reviewed after you've had the colonoscopy. And I was just like, what happened to the communication? Like, I spoke to my GP. My GP supposed to have spoke to you, the consultant on the gastrological ward, and everything was supposed to be explained, and everything clearly wasn't. So each and every time I had to go. But on the first time I went, the gastro consultant came in, or one of them, shall I say, because, I've seen so many different consultants, i.e. doctors and juniors, it's unreal to know which one actually is the top dog of them all, or the fat cat of them all, should I say. So anyway, the consultant turned around and said, before I could have the colonoscopy, I needed an MRI scan, due to the fact that I've had an operation back in 2005 where a slice of my bowel went over my bladder, etc., to stop the contractions on my bladder from me self-catheterize, to let me self-catheterize instead of taking an indwelling catheter out with the leg bag and basically peeing everywhere, because I've got severe leg spasms through nerve pains. I mean, I might not be able to use my legs, but they still kick. They're still there. They're still alive. I just can't control them or feel them. So I said this to my GP after the first time I got back, and she was adamant, no, you don't need one, no one said that, etc, etc, etc. I said, listen, I don't pluck things out of thin air just because I want them. And if anything, I'd not go under an MRI scan, because the radiation from them things is absolutely sickening. They might be able to do an in-depth scan of the human body, but it's still radiation, and the human body isn't content with that. So the GP sent me back a few more times, as I mentioned earlier, and each and every time the communications just lapsed, and it was poor, absolutely sickening. So at the end of 2018, I'd not heard anything from a GP for about 2 months. So come after the holidays in December that everyone celebrates, unfortunately not me, it's for my own reasons. I think Christmas is a commercial thing, and I don't want to. And New Year, what? You can celebrate a new year, but once you're reborn again, that's to me, that's when you celebrate, or not. And you don't celebrate for material things. You celebrate for the love of that you found Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior. Okay, so which I do every day as well, and everyone should. So come January, I thought I'd give it 2 weeks, let everyone get back to work in the GP surgery, and then I will I rang the GP surgery up. I asked for my GP. she rang me back, and all I wanted was to pay out of my own pocket. I was pushing the limit on affording it, but I wanted a full body MRI scan, because I know I've got internal I know I had internal issues more so than just my bowels, okay? The upper and the lower bowel, yeah? My GP, oh no, we'll sort out the colonoscopy. You don't need that, Jamie, honestly, etc. In other words, excuse after excuse after excuse, even though I was willing to pay for it out of my own pocket. So I went along, said, okay, no problem, we'll do what you say. In 2019, I again went in to Lincoln County Hospital for this so-called colonoscopy, which, again, communication skills broke down again, and it was absolutely poor. So I ended up coming home without the colonoscopy a good 3-4 times. Then I met someone and they came to live with me. Lovely person. And I was able to have the stuff that they give you to empty your stomach and bowel, so you're clear, so you can go in on an outpatient's appointment for your colonoscopy. I was able to do that. I had the camera up the good job I can't feel it, otherwise I wouldn't have gone for it, man. I'd rather suffer in pain. But I went for it. The lady that I was with was absolutely beautiful. Mind, body and soul, you know. Even though that relationship unfortunately didn't work, but you know, things work, things don't, and it was my decision, and I'm not blaming her at all. It was just one of the things that I've been bed resting for so long, and to have someone come into my life who felt more like a carer than an actual partner, it just didn't sit right with me at all, and it might have been unfair on her, because she did like me a lot, and I liked her too, but I couldn't go out, I couldn't socialise with her, I couldn't do anything apart from I was stuck in my bed, and the only time I got up was to have a wash, or you know, to get in the car and go to the hospital, basically. Other than that, it was back to bed. So, which I've done since 2010. As I said, juggling my life between eating, washing, cleaning and resting, and walking the dog as well. And the partner that I had, she was brilliant, because she could take some of the relief off of me, which I was doing as an independent person, which wasn't helping my sores, even though my right hip went to a grade 4 pressure sore, back to a superficial one, which I got back and down all by myself. Before the ex-partner, it was even before we even got involved with each other. So it's still there though, don't get me wrong, it's still a superficial wound. The one on my coccyx is where the rotational flap is. That's an absolute, it's a hole in my backside about I'd say it looks like that. Yeah, see my forefinger and my thumb, excuse the thing on my thumb. It looks like I've got Tipex or something on it, I don't know, but it's about that long, and it goes from my coccyx, and inside is just, at the moment, it's dry, it's not leaking, but it needs cleaning, it needs the bone shaving off, and so I want reconstruction surgery, which is why I'm now in a spinal hospital in Sheffield. And that I'll get on to that. But so me and that partner didn't survive, unfortunately. The relationship didn't survive, I should say, because we're still alive. Sorry, if you're out there, you know who you are. I do apologise. I know you're alive. But anyway, come October 2019, after 2019, I was saying to my GP and everybody, people that I knew, the only hospital I want to go into now is a spinal hospital, because the spinal hospital is the best hospital for me to go into, especially because I need the reconstruction surgery on the scars that I've on the sores, that I've got. And so October 2019, I had an outpatient's appointment to come into Sheffield Spinal Unit, speak to the consultant, show him my sores, and then go on a 2-month waiting list to be admitted for reconstruction surgery. But lo and behold, we all know what happened at the end of December, beginning of January. Begins with W. And, it begins with C. It started in a country beginning with C, and it's got Lucifer's number 19. I think that explains what I'm on about. So everything got put on hold, and I weren't even allowed. They said I'm not an emergency, even though I've been dealing with this for so many years. I'm not an emergency. That's what they said. So I've been waiting, and I mean waiting, 7.5 months. Where I was supposed to be on a 2-month waiting list. But anyway, it didn't frustrate me, it just irritated me, because I know about the 19. I've researched the 19. I follow some great people on YouTube. I follow some great forums on websites. And I use common sense. So, anyway, I had the MRI done in January. They sent me for an MRI in January, which I was lucky to get before the so-called crappy little lockdown in your prison cell, do as you're told, or, etc., etc. And I went for the MRI. It was for my abdominal part of my body, not a full body MRI. The NHS can't afford that. But I ended up with internal problems with my stomach, again, my bowel, and excuse the teeth, please. If you can see some bad teeth, I've got bad teeth, man. I've not been able to see a dentist for years because I can't sit on the dentist chair, and you don't get home visits, and she's not exactly going to get into a hospital. So anyway, that's irrelevant. Just call it Brock tooth or whatever you want to call it. I don't swear no more, so I don't know why I said I don't give a rat's ass, basically. That's not really swearing, is it? I hate using foul language, because foul language is made up to mock Christ and Christians. And if you want to know about that, go on Jurassic Lives 26, and he's done a video on swear words, and he breaks it down. Although you can use common sense and break it down yourself. In March of 2020, because, as I said, I had the MRI done January this year, but in March 2020, I ended up with a massive UTI, urine infection, and it was that bad. Usually with them, I will stay at home, I will drink X amount of fluids to try and wash it out and flush it through. But this time, there was no chance. My bloods were high, I was low on white blood cells, etc. And I had to call my GP who admitted me in. I was in for just over a week. They wanted to do a blood transfusion while I was in. They did put me on some antibiotics, one called fluoxetine, which is just a regular one. I mean, even kids go on fluoxetine in the UK, in England anyway, for infections. Because there ain't that many new antibiotics out there, you know, still using ones back from the 80s probably, or the 70s. But so anyway, I was in for just over about a week and a half, and in that time they wanted to do a blood transfusion on me because my blood cells, as I said, were low, and I was showing now signs of being anemic, having anemia, and that was due to the fact that I've not been able to get out, and they've left me long enough to do the resting on my own and not got me in a spinal unit, and actually done reconstruction surgery because I'm not important. So in that state, I did go on the antibiotic, which was on a drip, and near to the end of it, I got a phone call from the spinal unit. Sorry, I do apologise. From my GP surgery. It was a locum GP, and he had the results of my MRI, which was took in January. It takes its time, doesn't it? And it showed that I had an infection on the bone at the bottom of my spine, which I already lost the bottom of my spine due to this sore. And where the flap is on the rotational bit, where the coccyx bit is, now this ain't no 666 sign, alright, so scrap that, forget that. I'm just trying to show you what it would look like. It would look like that, where my coccyx is, right? Now this bit here started opening, and then it got like that, right? Which is like it is now, okay? Over a certain period of time. And in that bit I had in 2015, 16, can't remember the exact year, the bottom of the spine, little wishbone, the dog bone, literally pushed itself through and snapped off through deterioration, through the wound deteriorating and the infections getting in there, etc. So the MRI showed that I had an infection on the bottom of the spine, on the bone. They put me on antibiotics for a period of like 7 days, and I tried to say, well, 7 days is, you know, antibiotics, is that going to clear it? Because in my eyes, I should be going into the spinal unit, shouldn't I? I mean, an infection on the bone, especially the spine, being a spinal injury patient, that could cause dramatic failures in the rest of my body and put me through excruciating pain. But no, it wasn't. So anyway, I got on with it. I came out. I refused the blood transfusion, by the way. I forgot to put that. I had an iron one put in me instead. I didn't want it. I really didn't. But I will be honest, I felt better after it. And that is nothing but the truth. I did feel better. It was better than just taking a tablet twice a day for an iron supplement, because I'm not getting, again, the fresh air or the sunshine or anything like that. Excuse me if I've got a croaky voice, but it's the laying down, and also which I will go on. So I was home for about, I don't know, about 4 weeks, and in that 4-week period, within that 4-week period, felt fine, and then all of a sudden I had an abscess come up on my left hip, and where the abscess come up, the district nurses got called. They come out and they said it was connected to my sore that I've got on the rotational flap, on the coccyx part, because the tracks go off all over the place and you could end up with sepsis, etc. Now they were extremely worried, that my bloods again were really high, and that I was showing signs of sepsis, basically. Me, I'm a soldier. I'm a soldier of Christ, no matter what I've been through. I ended up spinal injury due to a car accident, passenger. Car went off the road, 80 mile an hour, going to work. Snapped my spine in 3 places, my right rib, pelvis. And the driver, I had my belt on, he snapped. Top half in the back, legs in the front. It's going to work. The driver, no belt, thrown out of the car, got a few scratches and bruises. That was it. Never in my life have I blamed him, because he didn't fall asleep on purpose to ruin my life. Okay, let's get that one out there now. So as I say, I'm a soldier. I will soldier on, and I'd rather take, at this point, again, fluoxetine, which is what they provided me after this abscess come up, because my left leg, which the abscess was on, swelled up like a lead balloon, and I mean swelled massively. So I was on them for about I'd say about 2 days, yeah, until I had my bloods took, by the district nurses. Listen, I know everyone says out there, don't give your blood, they're just using it, blah blah blah. When you're in a situation like mine, it's completely different to being normal and not having anything wrong with you. Okay, so I took the orals for 2 days, but come Saturday, I was looking at my left thigh, my left leg, I can't feel it, right? Okay, spinal injury. Know about spinal patients, some have some sort of feeling, some don't. I have none. And when you're looking at a leg that's 8 times bigger than what it should be, solid, and won't go out straight, you have to make a decision. And my decision was, ring an ambulance, you're going to hospital. Okay, so at the beginning of May, I do apologise, right at the beginning of May, I ended up in hospital by my own accord, and that ended up with me being put on 2 antibiotic drips in a cannula, which you can see I've got one in right now, and we go on about that. And as I said, I do apologise if this rant is going on more than 10, 20, 30, 40 minutes, but I need to get my story out there. And I would love your prayers for all my brothers and sisters, for a brother who's been left to rot at home and is in the wars. Okay, sorry, I get upset. No, don't rub your eyes because it make it worse. While I was in for them 2 weeks, I was on 2 antibiotics, rifamidine and clonazepam, and they're strong antibiotics, and they were for the swelling of my thigh. So I was taking them, and the swelling in the first week wasn't going down, so they wanted to do an ultrasound and an insertion to drain out if there was fluid underneath the actual skin, if it showed up on the ultrasound. Unfortunately, only a little tiny pocket, I'd say about an inch by half an inch, they could only find on the ultrasound. I do apologise. And the ultrasound team put the needle in to drain it out. They got not even a millimetre of fluid out. So I went on the second week because they put it in the they took it off for biopsies, and I had it in the lab, and they wanted to grow it, etc., see what was going on. So in the second week, they still had no results come back to explain what it was, apart from muscle swelling. So I had a day when they nil by mouth me, and they were gonna drain if anything that they could find. So I went down to the theatre, and yeah, makes you laugh, man. ICU equals 33, you know, where they actually operate on you. And I don't know whether it's like that around the world, but in England and in UK, it's called ICU. And U is the 21st, I is the 9th, and C is the 3rd. So you got 33 there. Yeah, you get me. Don't. It's an absolute joke the way this world is run. And people don't see it. But I've got no choice. Yeah, it's either that or die. And unfortunately, I'm not gonna. Sorry, I just got a notification. I'm not gonna die if something can be helped for me, as long as it's not something to do with vaccines going in me. And I do the research before they put the stuff in me anyway, and I read reviews, etc. It's exactly what I do with the IV antibiotics or oral antibiotics, okay? They decided anyway, when I went in there, which was a joke. I mean, they were all unmasked, laughing, giggling, can't wait for the weekend, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, a bunch of probably Freemasons or something in there. And so they got the notes out and decided, because there was no fluid under my thigh, that they wouldn't do an operation, which was great. I didn't want another scar on me, especially on my thigh, when I'm supposed to be in a spinal unit many moons ago for the rotational flap sore and the right hip bone sore. So we come out. I was in there for about half a week more, and they sent me home discharged on the same antibiotics but oral term, and they wanted me to go on a 6-week course, okay? And there's your number 6 for your 33 again. I mean, why can't it be 7 weeks? Why can't it be 8 weeks? Yes. People don't see it, but I see it. I'm not no Christian nut or tin hat person. I don't care what you say. You can't deny what's in front of you once you learn and once you break out of the bubble that they want you in. I was at home over the 6-week period. Everything was fine. I was eating, I was drinking, my fluids. I didn't feel ill or sick or feverish, one slightest bit. And the swelling on my leg within the 5th week really came down. So when it comes to the date of going in, when it comes to the date of the antibiotics being stopped on a 6th week, I rang my GP surgery because I didn't want to just come off of them willy-nilly. So I rang them, the locum phoned me back, explained, explained the situation, and I asked if there would be any withdrawal symptoms coming off of these tablets. Pardon me. Since I'd been on them for so long, in the hospital and out of the hospital. And my local... Oh, I do apologise. It's probably the fluoride in the water that they give us. Keep your fluids up. Yeah. Ruin your teeth, ruin your stomach, ruin your bladder. Why not? Ruin your blood cells. Oh, makes me sick. He said, no, there will be no withdrawal symptoms. Come off them, boom, full stop. Don't take no more. So I decided, okay, you're the GP, you're the specialist. Okay, no problem, I'll do that. I come off of them. The following day, following day, in between your rib cage here, yeah, just lower, you got your spleen, you got your, excuse the tattoo, before I was Christian, if I knew marking your body was sin, would never have got them. So spine left, liver, spleen, sorry, left, liver right, so on. The pain was where my spleen was. I've done the research, looked up, rang the GP back, said I got massive pain. And it did start me to stop eating, or eating as much. I was eating smaller amounts. So the GP, my actual GP, and not a locum, came out and on a Monday, checked me over and said it feels more like your liver to me. And I was like, okay. Now I knew I was going to have liver problems someday in the future because I've been taking baclofen, dantrolene, oxybutynin, and a tablet called clonazepam. The first three I've been taking for, I've been in the chair 21 years now. 21 and a bit years out of 18 and a half years. So you do the math, you work it out how old I am. So she was deterred more to the liver. Sent the district nurses out during the week on a Thursday. They come and took my bloods. I rang up on a Friday, asked the results to come back. They hadn't by the time I'd rang, but in the evening I got a call saying that my bloods had come back and it was showing signs of either an infection in my liver or a bone infection that was causing my liver to dysfunction. So again, give me the orals and I'll try. So I had the oral tablets, and well, actually no, I didn't have any antibiotics this time. I was taking paracetamol. I apologise. Just took so many, and so much has gone on. It's just like a bomb going off in here. So I left it over the weekend. Things started to get worse, and I was in more severe pain. The GP come back out on the Monday, and she was concerned, wanted me to go in on that Monday, and I said, come on, let's give it a couple more days, keep my fluids up, etc., and we'll see. But anyway, it was a week, last Wednesday ago, I ended up feeling so poor, not ill, not feverish or anything like that, just really uncomfortable in pain. I decided myself to ring an ambulance and to admit myself through the GP into Lincoln County Hospital once again. Don't know why I go back there. I'm in the hospital, ain't done me no favours since, from the first time up until now anyway. But anyway, I was in there for a week, and over that week period until last Wednesday when I got admitted into Sheffield Spinal Hospital, they'd done, and I know I shouldn't allow it, but I've got no choice, man. I've got no choice. I'm a spinal patient. I don't know what's going on here. Do you understand? So I had to have an X-ray on my chest. I had to have a CT scan on my abdominal and liver area, which the X-ray come back showing no signs of any clots on my lung, and the liver, the CT scan wasn't clear enough when they done it on my abdominal and my liver and spleen part. So I ended up having to have an MR again, and the MR was done last Wednesday, and which would have been last Wednesday, hang on, 18, 19, 20, 21, that would have been the 22nd of July. and 2020. When I came back after Neil by mouth, I had to go and have the scan. Before, I had it at 9 a.m. I come back for 10. The on-ward doctor come round. The scan had come back. It showed me the scan on their tablet. He said that it looked like my gallbladder was enlarged and that I may have had a gallstone, which isn't in there. By the looks of things, I may have passed it. Okay, no problem. He says you can go home. And I forgot to mention, the week before I came into Lincoln Hospital, I'd had a phone call from Sheffield Spinal Unit, where I am now, by the liaison person. Not mentioning no names. But she said that I'm due to come in on the 27th. Now, this was before I started feeling rough and everything, you know what I mean? And I was like, yes, finally. I'm going in for reconstruction surgery. I'll get some sort of life back, instead of having to deal with pressure sores and rotational flaps open for 10 years with limited life, basically. Whilst on that Wednesday, the 22nd, as I was just mentioning, I literally had a couple slices of toast because I hadn't eaten all morning. And then at 12 o'clock, now in Lincoln, in the north, for some reason in the north of England, they have like hot meal dinner at lunch and sandwiches at tea time, at dinner time, what I would call dinner time. It's opposite when I lived down in London for all my life, yeah? So anyway, I had this dinner come. I know it's irrelevant, but I've got to tell the story. And I know it's 15 minutes long, and I do really appreciate, and I really do appreciate anyone that's listening to this that can bear with it for so long. The meal that came at 12 was a turkey slice with 3 roast potatoes, a bit of broccoli and some gravy. I had that to eat whilst they were doing the discharge letters and getting the tablets ready, and I was waiting for transportation, which I got told was going to be between any time after 12 o'clock lunchtime. So I ate my food, and within the space of about half an hour to an hour, I ended up rough, really rough. I was in so much pain along my liver, spleen, bowel, gallbladder. My stomach exploded. So it felt like I was completely constipated as well. And I made the decision, I'm staying in. I'm not going home in this state. It's just not right. Being on my own, it's just not the right decision. Sometimes you got to think sensible about these things. So I stayed in. The on-ward doctor came around the next day, and I explained everything to him, what happened, and I was still in pain then. And I also explained that I was supposed to be going into the spinal hospital on the 27th of July, which was Monday this week on. But I also explained that I'd spoke to the spinal hospital and told them on the Wednesday the situation. It went from going home to going nowhere. And they said that a bed would be free for me from Friday last week. And if anything, I could be transferred from Lincoln County Hospital to Sheffield Spinal Unit Hospital, which was fantastic news. So I told that to the on-ward doctor, got the nurses involved and the discharge people. They got in touch with the unit, and thankfully I was transferred over to the spinal unit. Now, since I've been in the spinal unit, I can't knock anyone, if I'm honest, until today. And it's the incompetence of these people that aren't on the threshold of say like 18, 17, 18 or even 16,000 like student or whatever to, I don't know, 25, 30,000 a year, okay? It's when they start getting in these dark blue sister wards, doctors, consultants, and they think they're God, okay? And they can play with people's lives. Unfortunately, they can't do that with me without a reaction. And it's not just them, it's not just in hospital, it's at home with the GPs as well, because the incompetence from my GP has absolutely been sickening. Forgetting to reorder things, leaving me in pain. And the communication skills are absolutely disgusting. I've never known it in my life before. So, as I've mentioned earlier in this video, but for other things as well. Now, as I say, it's been wonderful in here. The staff, the staff in nurse, fantastic. I mean, yeah, you can catch a few out without wearing their masks, you know what I mean? And you laugh because you know that having that thing on is just moisture. And you're going to pay for it at the end of the day. You might not know it or see it now, but you will in future. All these people will in future, but they have to wear it because of the guidelines. You know, use your brain, man. Why put a muzzle on? Are you a dog? You know? The patient doesn't have to wear it. The patient hasn't got it. And yes, I have been tested for it, I will say. And it's up the nose and back of the throat. But, you know, as long as I haven't had an injection, mate, I don't care. You know, I want to get into hospital. It's been too long. Otherwise, I'm just going to rot at home like they've left me for 10 years, for another 10 years, and I'll end up dying on my own at home. And I'm not afraid to die, but I want to die of natural causes, not of medical incompetent reasons. And so I had I can't remember what the procedure's called, but it's where they put a camera down your jap. Sorry, it's a pain in my rib. Oh. Connected to my gallbladder and my liver. So anyway, if it comes on again, you will notice. And I apologise in advance, although I shouldn't because it's natural. But I had this camera go down into my bladder by the urologist, and she wasn't the main consultant. She was basically a registrar under the consultant, and she deals with spinal patients as well as others as well. And anyway, my teeth are so bad. And looking in this camera is terrible. But thou shalt not judge, you know. So anyway, I had it done. It showed that I've got bladder stones, or a bladder stone. Took a sample, sent it off to the biopsy to be tested and to see if they can find out what it is and how it's occurred. So the same registrar came and see me today when this was done yesterday, and literally we spoke, and I've got to go in for an operation on Tuesday next week, and that operation is going to be where they go in and they laser and remove the stone as much as they possibly can without having to cut me open and do it surgically in that respect. But I still have to go out for a bit under general anaesthetic. And so she come in with the consent form this morning, and the consent form mentioned nothing about tablets. Nothing about tablets. The only time since I've been in here from Friday last week was Dantrolene, a tablet that I've been on for my spasms. They took me off of it because it can have long-term effects on your liver, and I was happy for them to do that because I wanted to reduce my tablets anyway back in May, and if they can reduce more, then I'm happy to do that, absolutely, especially when you're taking so many a day. So I've got to hold this. My left wrist gone dead. Ow. So that got reduced and actually took off from my prescription of my daily dose, nightly dose, yesterday. I'm on another one, as I said, clonazepam. I've been on clonazepam since about 2012, and excuse me, I've got an itch. They put me on clonazepam because due to this rotational flap, my leg spasms were absolutely horrendous and I couldn't sleep. And I mean, couldn't sleep. It was kick, pain, pull, thrown here, thrown there. So I used to be able to take 4 of the tablets. But in May, again, like I said, I spoke to my pharmacist at the GP surgery and I reduced it down to 2 because I don't want to take too many tablets, and certainly not sleeping tablets. I would like to fall asleep naturally again, like I did before I had the rotational flap, whether I was, even though I was paralysed in '99. And they put me on, I had the rotational flap in at the end of 2009 to 2010, reconstruction in 2011. I was on a different sleeping tablet, but that sleeping tablet was not a long-term tablet for patients to be on. So they put me on clonazepam in 2012, which basically you can be on, but you take it in moderate doses that you feel. But I was allowed 4 tablets at 10 milligram, at 500 milligram a tablet, and it was to your discretion on how many you took. So, as I say, in May I brought it down, spoke to the pharmacist, we brought it down to 2. So that means 2 500. I was allowed, and on my script, to repeat, it says take 2 tablets in the evening, reduce to 1 tablet if possible, and the reduce to 1 tablet if possible is just a guideline, right? It's down to me whether I wanted that tablet took off or not, because and I said that we discussed and agreed this with the pharmacist and even my GP, and I even had this issue back in Lincoln last week where they put me on just 1 tablet, and it was just like, no, you've got to read this, and I showed them the evidence and it's 2, and I'm not coming off of them while I've got these sores until I'm healed, okay? Because it is so difficult to sleep when your legs are just kicking you all the time. So unfortunately, this evening, and it's the 29th, and I don't blame any of the nurses here at all, and I really mean that. The nurses on during the day or the nurses on at night, they do a fantastic job, okay? If it weren't for them, no hospital in this country, or if it weren't for nurses around the world, would ever run. And I've witnessed that with my own 2 eyes, okay? But when it comes to these people that make decisions, I call them fat cats, with their lovely houses, their lovely cars, their lovely, they work so many hours a day and have so many hours off and days off. So, and they make decisions thinking they know what's best for you. At the end of the day, you know what's best for yourself. And it's you that consents whether to go on or to come off of whatever is advised. So, unfortunately, I got a bit high rated earlier, because when the time for the tablets to come round, and I told you that I'd seen the urologist earlier today, and I had to sign a consent form for the operation on Tuesday next week. They've took one of the sleeping tablets off. Now this is a good thing, yeah, okay, I don't want to take the tablets, but it's not a good thing when I'm in the position that I'm in now when I need the tablet, okay? Because I don't want to take any tablets, but unfortunately I've got severe spasms, and taking the 2 sleeping tablets when I used to be able to take 4, 2 just about gets me asleep for about, 3-4 hours maybe, yeah, and then I'm awake. and I'm also awake because of my bladder, etc. Having to get up and drain it every 3 to 4 hours. So she's come in and blah blah blah, like I say, and she's mentioned that, oh, you're only on one clonazepam. And as I said, it tripped me out. It really did. And I got high rated, not at the nurse, at the person who made the decision. I asked who made the decision to do this, and the person that made the decision was the neurologist that I seen this morning, who never mentioned anything about any tablets. Nothing at all. It was other doctors that mentioned come off at the dantrolene, and another tablet, I do apologise, which was tizanidine, which was for my spasms, which I wanted to come off of anyway, because I asked the doctor to put me on that last year just to get that in. But it was just another tablet, and I'm sick of taking them, as I've mentioned. So I asked, what were the reasons? And this registrar has not put one reason why she's knocked one of my sleeping tablets off. Now, I don't suffer from anxiety, I don't suffer from mental illness, I don't suffer from nothing, okay? Apart from I'm paralysed, I'm a cripple, and that was due to being a passenger in a car accident. I suffer from spasms in my legs, and at the moment, pain, as I've said, across here. I've had pain on my chest and on the back of my right rib. And this is all combined with an enlarged gallbladder, with a liver that is, which they can't even give an answer what's wrong with my liver at the moment. It's just been completely destroyed, which I believe is tablet-wise, especially the antibiotics that I was on in May, and for that 6-week period, etc., and so on. So to hear that someone's done that without consulting me, without my consent, really, really upset me. Because if anyone knows, lack of sleep is the most, apart from toothache I should say, is the most dreadful thing you can't cope with lack of sleep. Whether I'm in a hospital or not, it doesn't mean anything. I can't sleep fully during the day. I mean, you've got nurses in and out. Can I take your blood pressure? Jamie, or James, sorry, James. I've said my name now, so you know my name, okay? You don't know my surname, that's all that matters. But my real name is James, but I get called Jamie. I have done since I was a nipper. Knee-eye to a grasshopper, I should say. A bit of London slang there for you. And so for them to make that decision and not to give any reason why, and especially in not consulting me, is negligence, is disgusting, is foul practice. And this is why I've had to come on here and do this video of what it's been like for me. I mean, there's many other things that I could go on about in this video that I've been dealing with through my whole life, but this isn't a life story. This is talking about incompetence and why I'm in and out of hospitals over the last 10 years, and what's been happening, etc. So I've asked, can I have the tablet, to the nurse, who's lovely, but she hasn't got that ability to override it. So I'm going to have a sleepless and uncomfortable night tonight, especially because 3 tablets have been took off that control my leg spasms from kicking and doing their own thing, which I'm coping with. But with the sleeping tablet, it really helps at night. Plus I've had to take painkillers, paracetamol, ibuprofen. I know they're not good for you, but the pain is so severe, you need something to relieve it. And the other thing that they give me today was a it's like a, I can only explain it like a nicotine patch. You put on your shoulder and it works. It's a morphine dosed patch that seeps into your blood and calms the pain down over a period of time. I didn't want it, but you know, the pain is unbearable. I've got another video, and I'll put it up as well, and you will see, because at the moment I've took some painkillers at roughly, so I'm looking at the clock, and it was roughly about 10 to 10. I took some painkillers along with the baclofen that I'm allowed, and the one clonazepam. I mean, one clonazepam sleeping tablet. That was over an hour ago. Look at me, I'm wide awake. Stupid. So unfortunately, we've got an on-call doctor coming on. They could come at any time, which shouldn't be happening. And which, I mean, if I did fall asleep, I'm going to get woken up. I could get woken up. Say if I fell asleep now, I don't know if you can see that clock, but it says 10 past 11 at night, and I could fall asleep, say 11:30 or even 12 o'clock, go to sleep for an hour, and the on-call doctor could come and I'm up again. Now what I do with the clonazepam, if that was the situation, I would take one, which I've took, and then I'd save the other one and take it after they've gone, so I could get some sort of medication in me which will help me doze off. Whether it's a deep sleep or a light sleep, I don't care, as long as it's something. As long as my eyes shut and I'm, you know, but it's not going to happen now. So when I speak to the on-call doctor, I can only try and compromise and hope that they compromise with me that I need this tablet, and I would like this tablet for this evening, and I will speak to, and this is the funny, it's not funny, but this is the other side. The neurologist that came round and got me to sign the consent form, she actually goes home today, and she's not back till Monday next week. Bit of a coinkydink there, innit? You take me off a tablet, you don't consult me, and then you take you have 4 days off because you got the weekend, and then you're back on Monday. So you, the one that's signing the form saying I'm not gonna be allowed this tablet no more, have now scarpered and left it to someone else to deal with and pick up the pieces. Whereas I'd like to speak to, you know, the person who writ it and decided themselves to take me off it, which, as you know, is the right thing. Don't go around the houses. You talk to the person, as I said, who thinks they know best, or better than you anyway, without consulting you. So yeah, we're an hour and 13 minutes now, coming up to 13 and a half minutes, but I just wanted to get this out there because, I mean, listen back to this, please, and I really hope someone prays or keeps me in their prayers, as you all are in mine, okay? And sees my point of view from this. Although the nurse did, she really understood, really she did, truly. Even though she couldn't do nothing, she was so apologetic. I had to say to her, stop apologising, please, it's not your fault. I apologise for, and I wasn't raising, shouting my voice, but my voice was raised out of frustration. Because, as I say, it's not the first time it's happened, and it shouldn't, even if it was the first time it happened, I should be consulted. You've got to have my consent before you take me off of something. Or you've got to at least explain it so I understand why you're taking me off of it. But no, there's no humanity in some people nowadays. Especially, as I say, these people with their 70 to 100k a year jobs and their pretty little lifestyles, and they don't worry about other people. As long as they tick their box, they go home. that's it. They come back the next day or 4 days later and pick up whatever pieces they left behind. And this is one thing I'm not going to let die either, or let go of, because, as I said, it's negligence to play God with someone's life. It might be sleep, it might be minor, and I know there's plenty of people out there that are worse off than me. I've seen them, you know, and I've learnt from them as well, especially tetraplegic, quadriplegic in Latin or Greek, however you want to pronounce it, from spine paralysed from the neck down. I mean, that's a real eye opener, to see them get on and laugh, and paralysed from the waist, from there downwards. I've still got my upper arms, I've still got my head, I've still got my own thought, and I don't need someone to care for me 24/7, clean me, wash me, wipe me bum, you get me? So yeah, it's as I say, it's deeply upsetting at the time. I am calmer now, and I think doing this rant is now 1:16. It's like 3 minutes goes, 3 minutes, there you go, number 3, see, that's because I swore earlier, and I promised myself that I would never swear again when I found my faith. It has slipped up, don't get me wrong, I'm not the cleanest of all people, but I try my hardest not to. As you see then, I stopped myself. But earlier, it come out a few times. And I will ask for forgiveness from Christ when I pray later, for myself and for the children of this world, the people that have been neglected in this world, the sick in this world, and people that aren't even sick but are true Christians, are true believers, are true, or just have true humanity inside them, because they don't just think of themselves, they think of others. And some people think of others before they do think of themselves, and God bless them. And God bless anyone that's watching this and has bared me ranting for this amount of time. I so do appreciate it, I really, really do. I've got no one else to talk to, and it's kind of like that, it's that part where I can let myself go, which really, really does help, even though my book, my faith, helps me all the way. But you know, sometimes you just need a friend. I lost my friend last year in November, and that was my Roxy. I had to put her down in November last year. Man, fully grown man, I'm getting upset. It's just not right. Although I don't care how old you are, man. Life's about smiles and cries, but I want more smiles than cries, you understand? I knew it was going to come sometime through this video, but I can't help it, alright? It's like 2 days ago I was laying on my right side, and I'll leave with this. 2 days up, they put me over to rest on my right side, and the pain that I get down this rib here, oh my days. I've never felt pain for so long like it in all my life, and it brought me to tears. Now, not a lot brings me to tears apart from losing my best friend, my dog, because I've got no family, okay? I've got my family, my upbringing was very messy, but I don't blame them. I forgive them. I forgive everybody. And I do forgive everybody. no matter if they've been bad to me or not, you know, I pray for everybody. I just want to stop weeping now. Come on, boy, come on. This ain't no blooming crisis actor of the year either, I'll tell you that much. I've had to give everything up for the incompetence, the lack of getting me into the right places. As I say, for the last 10 years with this rotational flap, and especially with this right hip going down. I mean, there's nothing got me. It's look, that's my hip. I can get my hand around my hip. I've lost so much weight. I've lost so much weight. You know, just been left to rot at home. You know, that's the NHS for you. Who this year, through this fake thing, although we do know there's strands that they use the corona word for in flus, but it's been difficult. It has been difficult. It has been very difficult and irritating. Not frustrating, it's irritating. I don't like getting frustrated. I'm not here to have a go at people. I don't want to have a go at people. I've learned that through the Holy Book. I've learned that through believing in Jesus, our Creator, you know, and having my spirit. I mean, I could have topped myself years ago. I could have topped myself last week. You know, if I was a weak person, but I'm not a weak person, I'm a strong person. I've had to give everything up for this to get in where I am now. And I'm grateful for being where I am now. I really am. I'm grateful for the people that are here. I'm grateful for the people that have been by my side, even if they're not there now. Because I've had to learn my life lesson through life. Not through no education, you know. And I say that because it's like, as we know, Jesus came as a Jew, but he knew the Creator knew that he had to. And he sacrificed for our sins. And I thank him so much for that. I really do. I really do. Because I've sinned. And I'm trying the best I freaking can, man. See, friggin', I've swapped the word for friggin', even though you know what it means. I mean, I can't say the words because it's disgusting. And so many things I've had to change. So many things, like I say, I've had to get rid of, and I had to put my dog down last year in November, and that done it for me. That really did do it for me. Ah, man, now I've got a snotty nose. Red eyes, no doubt. Yeah, I have. But you know, she was ill anyway, but you know, it was a decision I had to make because I knew I was coming in hospital for at least 12 weeks. And I didn't want her dying in pain because my previous dog that got took from me died in pain at the age of 4. Playing, and she ended up landing and fitting and foaming at the mouth and dying in my arms. And it broke me. It broke me, man.
and I couldn't go through that again. So, you know, I know it's the wrong decision, but I had to choose that decision. I had to make that decision, sorry. And she was old. She had a great life, and she was in her late years anyway. But I miss her so much. I miss having a life. I miss being. I hate being messed around. And I thought it would stop. But just one little thing like today, like tonight, the sleeping tablet is just... just seems like one thing after another, you know, and I don't know. All I know is I say my prayers tonight. I would say before I go to sleep, but man, they gotta sleep. Man's so uncomfortable, man's so much in pain that I feel embarrassed now about breaking down on this at the end. But what can you do, man? What can you do? You know. Listen, as I say, thank you for anyone that's listened to this. I really appreciate it, and I hope I'm in, as you are in my prayers, I hope I'm in yours too. And yeah, let's get rid of the wickedness in this world. Honestly, let's get rid of the wickedness in this world. The evil in this world is just unbearable, and especially for children. I mean, I can't have kids since I've been paralysed, and it breaks my heart knowing what goes on with them too. Too much evil about. Rebuke it. Repent if you haven't or don't already. And again, I thank you for listening. I really, really appreciate it. I know what I'm going to put this on, and if any comments come up, I'm just going to say thank you and God bless to you, because there's no point in going into essays, not at this time of night anyway. So yeah, I really appreciate anyone listening and seeing it from my point of view, of my side, as the patient, as the one with the disability, as the one with the common sense, as the one with the faith, and as the one that is now, once again, been irritated because of incompetence, of lack of communication, and mostly people playing God with people's lives, and they're not God. They're just not God. They're not God. It's just full stop. They're not God. There's only one. There's only one Creator. There's only one Father. There's only one Son. There's only one Holy Spirit. Okay? So God bless you all. Thank you again. Really do appreciate it. If anyone, even if no one watches it, I don't care. Just had to do this, but I really appreciate it. Look, we're an hour and 29 minutes, so I'm gonna go. All right, and as I say, God bless you all in the name of Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior, who died for our sins on the cross. So keep your faith, and like me, keep your chin up, even though you see me deteriorate. Keep your chin up. Be strong. Be a soldier. Male or female, okay? And expose the truth. God bless. Good night.